So, this billionaire got rich by turning doctors into his own personal drug cartel. Listen to this. His name was John, and his weapon was a super potent fentanyl spray he called Subsys. His goal, get it into as many mouths as possible. Now, you have to understand, this stuff is no joke. It's a fentanyl derivative, delivered as an under-the-tongue spray for instant absorption. It hits you like a freight train. The FDA approves it for one thing and one thing only: managing the insane, soul-crushing pain that terminal cancer patients get. We're talking end-of-life, last resort kind of pain, a tiny, tiny group of people. And John is looking at this tiny market and thinking, that's not enough. Not nearly enough for the private jets and the mansions he wants. He's the founder and CEO of this company, Insys Therapeutics, and he sees his fentanyl spray not as a medicine, but as a gold mine. He just needs to figure out how to get it prescribed to, well, everyone else. And that's where the whole thing goes completely off the rails. He knows he can't just advertise this stuff on TV, so he needs a backdoor. He needs to get the gatekeepers, the doctors, on his payroll. And he comes up with this scheme he calls the speaker program. On paper, it sounds legit. Insys pays doctors to host educational dinners and events to speak to other doctors about the benefits of Subsys. Sounds reasonable, right? Wrong. It's a total front, a whole-ass sham. Here's how it really works. The sales rep from Insys calls up a doctor and says, "Hey, doc, want to make $2,000 tonight?" The doctor says yes. They go to a fancy steakhouse. The sales rep and the doctor sit there, eat a massive meal on the company dime, and that's it. There's no audience. There's no speaking. The doctor just gets a check for thousands of dollars. The meal is the event. The bribe is the speaker fee. And it works. It works like a charm. Doctors who were prescribing zero of this stuff are now suddenly getting paid $10,000, $20,000, $50,000. And what do you know, their prescription numbers go through the roof. One doctor in Illinois gets paid $260,000 in fake speaker fees. He becomes one of the top prescribers in the country. It's not medicine, it's a transaction. It's pay for play. And John is the puppet master pulling every single string, but then it gets even worse. The money starts flowing, the fentanyl starts shipping, but for John and his crew, it's not happening fast enough. The company culture starts to rot from the inside out. They need more sales reps, more bodies to push the product. So they start hiring these young, attractive women with zero pharmaceutical experience. One new hire is a former exotic dancer. Another is an escort. John doesn't care about their resumes, he cares about their ability to persuade. And the persuasion tactics get dark, and they get sleazy. They're taking doctors to strip clubs, dropping thousands of dollars on champagne in private rooms, whatever it takes to get the signature on the script. There's this one now famous story where a regional sales manager, a woman hired by Insys, literally gives a doctor a lap dance in a club in Chicago. She does it to keep him happy, to keep him prescribing their fentanyl. Think about how insane that is. This isn't some back alley deal. This is a publicly traded pharmaceutical company, and they are operating like a gangland crew. They're using sex and debauchery to push one of the most dangerous opioids on the planet. The whole operation is fueled by pure, uncut greed. But bribing doctors and throwing parties is only half the problem. John still has one more enemy to defeat, the insurance companies. See, insurance providers aren't stupid. They see a request for a hyper-expensive cancer pain drug for a patient who doesn't have cancer, and they deny it. This is a huge roadblock for John's money machine. So what does he do? He builds a whole-ass division inside his company dedicated to lying. He calls it the Insys Reimbursement Center, or IRC. It's a call center staffed with people whose only job is to defraud insurance companies. They have scripts. They have strategies. An employee at the IRC would call an insurance company and pretend to be from the doctor's office. The insurance rep asks, "So, does the patient have cancer?" And the Insys employee, reading from their script, just lies. "Yes, breakthrough cancer pain." They were masters of the runaround. If the insurance company asked for more proof, the IRC employee would say, "Oh, the patient has difficulty swallowing pills. That's why they need the spray." They'd use a specific medical term, dysphagia, over and over again, because they knew it was a magic word to get approvals. They are literally running a criminal enterprise from a corporate office park in Arizona. And for every lie they tell, another prescription gets filled. a prescription for a roofer with a bad back or a waitress with migraines. People who have no business being on a drug this powerful, and that's when people start to die. A woman in her early 30s named Sarah Fuller is prescribed Subsys for fibromyalgia and neck pain. She never had cancer. She gets hooked instantly. She overdoses and dies. And her story is just one of many. The bodies are piling up, a direct consequence of this billionaire's greed. But inside this web of lies, someone finally breaks. A sales manager. He sees the fraud. He sees the deaths, and he can't stomach it anymore. He walks out, and he goes straight to the feds. He becomes the first major whistleblower, and with that, the clock starts ticking. The feds are on it now. The FBI starts sniffing around. They are quiet at first, building their case. They start talking to former employees, offering them immunity deals. Then they strike. They raid doctors' offices. They raid Insys headquarters. They are seizing computers, grabbing documents, and arresting the low-level goons. One by one, the people inside John's empire start to flip. They know they're caught. The big one is a guy named Alec Burlakoff, the vice president of sales, the guy who basically ran the whole speaker fee strip club operation. The feds have him dead to rights, and they offer him a choice. Go to prison for a very, very long time, or you help us get your boss. He flips. He agrees to testify against John. And now, the walls are closing in fast. The whole house of cards is about to come crashing down right on top of its architect. Then comes the moment. Federal agents roll up to John's sprawling mansion in Arizona. The billionaire who thought he was untouchable, who built an empire on addiction and death, gets put in handcuffs. It's over. The trial is a media circus, and the evidence the prosecution lays out is just staggering. They have the financial records, showing the millions paid in bribes. They have the whistleblower testimony. They have John's former vice president on the stand, pointing his finger and explaining every single sordid detail of the conspiracy. They even have audio from the IRC, the lie factory, where the jury hears Insys employees systematically lying to insurance companies. But the most bizarre, most damning piece of evidence is a video, an internal company video that the sales team made. It's a rap video, a full-on cringy rap video featuring employees dancing around with a guy in a giant life-size, Subsys spray costume. And they are rapping about how great it is to get doctors to prescribe higher and higher doses. They are celebrating this stuff, and it is the perfect, horrifying summary of the company's entire culture. A depraved, celebratory mockery of the damage they were causing. The jury sees all of this. They hear it all. And they've had enough. The verdict comes back. Guilty. Guilty of racketeering conspiracy. The same charge they used to take down mob bosses. And then comes the sentence. 5.5 years in federal prison. For a 76-year-old billionaire, it's a life sentence. The company he built, Insys Therapeutics, files for bankruptcy. It's worthless. His name, his legacy, his freedom, all gone. The mugshot says it all. The arrogant smirk is gone. The man who cashed in on an epidemic, who turned doctors into dealers and patients into profit margins, is finally just another inmate. The final bill for his greed came due. The billionaire drug mogul, John Kapoor, is officially a convicted felon.